Is this really happening? I'm recording a podcast. I finally remembered to pop on my little mic for my YouTube channel. Yes, please. I'm excited. Okay, so because I am recording podcast while doing YouTube, I am going to be sometimes looking at the computer, have my notes here, but also just to make sure that we are recording audio for the podcast. So I am super pumped. Let's get this going. You are listening to Functional Nutrition Radio with me as your host, Dr. Lahana Vigliano, the founder of Nuvitro. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about this whole Banza scenario, okay? And if you haven't heard of it, where have you been? I'm just kidding. You must not be following a lot of health stuff on social, but everyone's asking about it. And my peeps always know that they can come to me for a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like anti-scare, anti-clickbait, all those tactics. And so it's like, what is the truth here? Like, should I be worried? Should I not be worried? Is this something I should throw out? I can continue to buy. And Banza, I want to say I still, I guess, am a fan in a sense. They were one of the first gluten-free pastas that I've bought. I feel like they were also just one of the first companies to even offer gluten-free pasta. This was even before we moved to Austin, which was in 2017. So it's been a while since I really consumed their product because now I have a new favorite pasta. And yeah, which I'll share more about that. I use Jovial. So anyways, I have used Banza before and I love the protein amounts in it. I love, the taste is good. Not as good as Jovial now, because you can taste when a dish is made with a Banza pasta. Does that make sense? And with Jovial, I feel like it tastes almost exactly like regular pasta. Anyways, besides the point. So what happened on social media is that this, I think it's a company or nonprofit, but it's Moms Across America. And they did this independent study and found that Banza pasta had 2,963 parts per billion of glyphosate. And first, I don't know the lab that they use. I don't know the accuracy. Like, as I was reading through comments, I think this is probably one of those Instagrams that kind of like, it's kind of fear mongering, a little clickbaity, but there absolutely could be some truth to it. And that's why I'll talk about in a second. So I just want to preface that, like, I don't know much about the lab. I don't know much about the accuracy. I know there's like another social media, oh my gosh, it's something lead and I cannot think of it. It's a mom that tests lead and it's like literally lead is in everything, which I mean, lead is naturally occurring in the world. So kind of. Anyway, so I was just reading the comments and I know that some people are very passionate saying like, oh my gosh, no, you shouldn't trust this. And then also the question is too, like, we've seen mistakes that the EPA has done in the past. There have been things that were deemed safe at the time, and then we look in the future and it just wasn't the case, right? So you can't put your trust in like one organization. Honestly, you really can't. You do have to be open-minded because things can change over time. Things may have been good and normal at one point and then it changed, and especially companies change formulation. So anyways, Banza and most companies are supposed to be testing for this. And I would assume that they would not put it on the market with that high of glyphosate levels, but to each its own. I did read also in a thread that someone said they actually did reach out to Banza and asked if they tested for it, and they said they did. And then they asked for the report because you can ask for that as a consumer, and you can do that too with supplements. And they ended up not getting back to them and giving that report. So is there some sketchy stuff there? That is potential. So it is just so hard with all of this. Like when there's independent studies run, when there is, it's just science, right? There's trust issues with funding, there's trust issues with conflict of interest. It's just hard. Okay. But going back to this whole topic of Banza, one thing that is known for sure is that Banza has never claimed to be organic. They've never been organic ever. So if it's not organic, then technically glyphosate is a approved pesticide. Now, if it's USDA organic, technically there should be no glyphosate. Now, I'll get to that in a second. So Banza isn't organic. And to me, I always assume if it's not organic, not saying organic is absolutely perfect. There's absolutely pesticides that are approved by the organic label. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but to me, it is better than some of these conventional, which allows these potentially problematic environmental toxins. Even that is a whole topic of conversation. But I remember writing a paper in my master's or my doctorate. I really dove deep into glyphosate research. And again, the human part, I feel like it's still like, there's nothing that's like set in stone, that's just like, oh my gosh, this is like a randomized, double blind, a really, really great study. And it obviously shows that this like causes cancer. And no, but is research out there that shows how it impacts like our wildlife and marine life, and obviously then it gets into the water if it's sprayed on the crops, and if it gets into the water and we're seeing it impacting marine life, they're having problems with the reproductive system and they have tumors. Then just the question is still there, and I think it's a very valid question to question. Right? Is this an environmental toxin that yes, it's safe, right? Our government says it's safe, but then we find out, 50 years down the road, it wasn't. It's like smoking. So it's just those things of like, you have to kind of stay open-minded and be ready to switch. And to me, again, I want to just try to limit as much exposure as I can, because there's so many things I don't have control over. Like I walk out of my house, I don't have control over anything. What's in the air, right? Even though it would be really cool if I could like just hold an air doctor on me and just filter the air around me. I'm just kidding. But so what I can control, I do try to control for things that maybe we know are dangerous, or also like we don't know. But I mean, in a sense, I'm like common sense. I mean, it doesn't sound the best, right? So, anyways, Banza isn't organic. It never was. I assumed glyphosate was probably going to be in there. Now we do trust that, and that they do testing on heavy metals, they do testing on these toxins, that if it was an issue, they would not put it on the shelf. But again, it is a business. Yes, there's profit. Do I think it's right? If I made a product and it tested really high for glyphosate, would I put that out? No, I wouldn't. But they're not me. So anyways, I think the big lesson here is just buying organic when you can. Like I said, organic's not perfect, but when you do purchase organic, you are technically supposed to not have any glyphosate. But those things can happen. And I say that because now a couple years ago, back in 2021, glyphosate was found in organic chickpeas. It was a whole thing. It was found in organic hummus. I think one of the brands was Harris Teeter, or maybe it was just like it was just their chickpeas. But I know that like organic hummuses were getting like docked, and maybe it was after this was found. So the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, is the ones that kind of like found this out, and then they went to the USDA's National Organic Program, the NPO, and they were like, okay, this is what we found. This is a concern. This is an organic product and there's glyphosate in it. The NOP did investigate that supply, and they did confirm that it was probably properly and handled cross-contamination, and there was glyphosate in organic chickpeas. And that's why I kept saying technically when we buy organic, we should not worry about glyphosate issues. But is that perfect? Do we live in a perfect world? No, we don't. So there is definitely that potential, right? So anyways, the EWG found the average glyphosate residue from the Harris Teeter organic brand of chickpeas, 17,718 parts per billion, which is definitely higher than the Environmental Protection Agency's legal limit for even conventional chickpeas. So, I mean, even that example, right? Like, it is absolutely possible that Banza, not organic, is going to have really high levels of glyphosate. So, while it's still in question, was that independent study like accurate? It's not crazy, right? It's not crazy. So if organic chickpeas can have glyphosate levels, that was actually confirmed by the USDA organic program. It is absolutely possible. So again, the biggest thing is trying to buy organic, even though, as you can see, sometimes things happen, but trying to buy organic. and just continue to do the best you can. And while I love Banza and the protein and the ingredients are really good, there are other options out there. And that's why I kind of started deviating from Banza, just simply because when it wasn't organic, and I was like, okay, I do want to, like, again, take control of what I can take control. So that's why I moved over to Jovial, because they do have organic. Now, brown rice, that's the source, it's not chickpeas, and brown rice and cassava and all these things can be exposed to lead and arsenic naturally just in the environment. So again, I am not going to be surprised if in the future they're going to be like, did an independent test and it had high levels of arsenic or whatever. We see that in bone broth. There are just some things that are naturally occurring in the world, and it sucks. Don't get me wrong, it really does, but it is what it is. Anyways, so that's just kind of my thoughts on this whole Banza situation is, yeah, buy organic. Me personally, even if I don't know if this is safe or not, I would not be buying Banza again. If I had to, like, summarize it all up, I won't. But again, I found pasta that tastes better than Banza, even though I love Banza's protein content. I mean, so fire. But and this potentially being an issue and kind of knowing, again, it's not organic, y'all. Like, we should have assumed this. This isn't like, totally out of left field. I will skip it. So anyways, if you're looking for a new pasta, I would look into Jovial. It's one of my favorite ones, for real. It's the best. But hopefully this helps and kind of tames you down, and also just gets you thinking of what are some other products, right? Because Banza is considered a kind of a cleaner product in the sense of, like, the ingredients. There's nothing in the direct ingredients that are concerning. It is gluten free, which a lot of people are very sensitive to gluten. So is it a cleaner product? Yes. Now, is it organic? No. So just makes you kind of rethink other things you might be buying that are kind of in the same thing. It's a clean product, maybe not organic. Now, sometimes, and I've had this conversation actually on stories when I was looking for bars, I found this bar called Sans Bar, and it tastes great. The ingredients are fantastic. It's not organic, but it's a really good bar, right? And so there is other bars that will be like more processed, but they're organic ingredients. They're like organic sunflower oil, organic glucose something syrup, like just crazier, more processed ingredients, yet they're organic. So in that case, I'm actually going to go for the, like, real food ingredients, not organic, versus the more processed organic. Does that make sense? So that's why there's so much gray area in, like, nutrition. And if I just sat here and said just buy everything organic, then you would probably choose the organic, more processed bar than something that uses real food, but maybe doesn't have that organic label. Now, obviously, in a perfect world, I want to look for, like, real food and organic, and that is out there. That is out there. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, ooh, this sounds really good. And it actually was a really good bar. I got, like, the PB&J one, and it was delicious. And I'm glad I bought it. So anyways, hopefully that just clears up and shows you my mindset about it. Because again, not that we want to be scared and like, oh my God, what I do to my body. You just take this information, and some of this information you gotta take a second on, because again, is this accurate? And if it is, then obviously we take action on it. If it isn't, I mean, that sucks, but maybe we'll never know if it's accurate or not. Hopefully, just like when the EWG found that issue in chickpeas in that certain brand, they did go and do a follow-up test and they confirmed, which does show, like, hey, y'all, they will confirm. So I feel like if they were 100% sketch, like our environment or our government, they probably would have not confirmed, right? But they did, and then they made changes on that. And so hopefully we'll see. I haven't seen anything of, like, Banza, one, commenting on this topic, and then two, I haven't seen any other step in to play of, like, confirming this being an issue. So yeah, that's it. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. I'm so excited that I finally did, like, pressed record on the video, pressed record on the podcast, and we are doing this thing. I've been wanting to duo this for a while. So excited to be here, and I'll chat with you later.